Hey everybody, it's Nightforce, and with you today I bring you the range guide. But because there are so many items in the actual range category, much like the melee, I have to cut this one into two parts as well. One will contain information on guns and bullets. The other one, which is this one, will contain... will contain arrows, bows, and consumable throwing items, because bows really don't have that many effects. They're all pretty much the same. But still, gonna demonstrate them. First thing we should go through, before we get to the bow, is the ammunition. So it'll give you an idea of, the general idea of what bow fires. First, you have the wooden arrow. You'll see down below that it takes just one stone block and one piece of wood in order to create 5. This is the base of all your arrows, with an exception of one, I think. Yeah, with the exception of one. It's made at the crafting bench, and it is the base of all of them. Throughout this whole demonstration with the bows, I will be showing you all their damage with just wooden arrows. Now the next thing you could do with a wooden arrow is you could turn it into a flaming arrow. You get 3 of them per bunch. You can do it by hand, so you can craft it anywhere. 3 arrows plus 1 torch equals 3 flaming arrows, and these do significantly more damage. It is always a good idea to upgrade your wooden arrows whenever possible with spare torches, because flaming arrows and wooden arrows both have a 0.6% chance of breaking. So basically 1 out of 3 will come back. And if I remember correctly, it's like 1 out of 1 of the 3 that survive the 1 out of 3 come back as flaming arrows if you're thinking about the flaming arrows. So 1 out of 3 wooden arrows will come back, 1 out of 3 flaming arrows will come back, and 1 out of those 3 will be flaming still. It's very, very cheap, and it can inflict the fire, or the on fire buff onto enemies, so they'll burn as well. The next one we have, and we're going by their damage here, so you'll see like the next one, we got the Holy Arrow. This one's in hard mode. When this arrow hits the ground, it summons falling stars. The Holy Arrow has a very low chance of return rate. You get an 83.3% chance that a Holy Arrow will break. When it hits the ground, it summons down 3 stars that do, I do believe, 24 damage each, making this a very, very damaging arrow to use. A lot of ums. Out of all the arrows, I kind of prefer the Holy Arrow, because not only can you just hit the enemy, but if you have an enemy a level below you, if you shoot the ground, you can have the stars go through the ground and hit the enemy for you without your arrow actually striking it. It's also good for large amounts of enemies, because it can strike, not the arrow itself, but the stars can strike multiple enemies, stacking up the damage. Holy Arrows are very nice. My preferred arrow. Next up on the list we have the Unholy Arrow. Unholy Arrows, you get 3 of them from 3 arrows and 1 worm tooth, and you craft this at the Iron Anvil. It can pierce up to 4 enemies, if I remember that correctly, and it has a 75% chance of returning. It's pretty good when you want to do boss fights. That's pretty much it right there. That summons it all in one word, boss fights. Unholy Arrow does good in boss fights, because it can hit the smaller enemies that the Eye of Cthulhu spawns, and then continue onward and hit the actual Eye of Cthulhu. Or it'll hit multiple segments of the Eater of Worlds, although I do not suggest going against the Eater of Worlds with a bow. You'll probably need something a little more powerful than a bow. The next thing we have is a Jesters Arrow. These can only be found in chests. Now, as far as what chests, Sky Island chests, I think, and underground chests. Not sure about hell chests or anything like that. These things have a very short range, which sucks, and they'll explode into a powdery dust after a certain distance, and they can pierce infinite amount of enemies as they travel. So if you have 1,000 zombies in front of you and you fire a Jester's Arrow, you're going to hit every single one of them, and the arrow will keep going until it reaches its certain range point and then explode. It's a very good arrow. The one problem is that there is a major lack of them in anybody's inventory form, because they can only be found in chests. So they're good in quality, but not good in quantity. The next one we have is one of my personal favorites, other than, my second favorite, is the Hellfire Arrow. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, continue on. The Hellfire Arrow. When you fire these things and they hit the ground, they explode like a bomb. And when you fire them and you hit an enemy, they explode in the enemy's face. These things have splash damage, so you can hit multiple enemies with these. I'm sitting here articulating my hands here. You can hurt yourself, so be very careful. You can find them in hell, and you can also craft them. You use 10 arrows, 5 torches, 1 hellstone bar, add a iron anvil, and you'll get 10 hellfire arrows. Be very careful when firing these in the air, as I have learned many times, they do come back down. And that's kind of scary when you got hellfire arrows fired from you coming back down on your head. Now, the Hellfire Arrow and the Jester Arrow both have a 100% break ratio, which means you won't get them back. You fire it, it's done. You will not get these back. The next one we have is the Cursed Arrow, which a lot of people use, which rightfully so. They are very good. They are the most damaging arrow, just the pure arrow itself, are the most damaging with 14 range damage. They have an 83.3% chance to return, the same as the Holy Arrow. When you hit something, there is a chance to apply the Cursed Inferno. I'm not sure if it's like a 60% chance, 70 or 80. It'll be down below. I'll put a little note down there on the chance of causing the Cursed Inferno, because I've heard of a 100% chance. But when you fire the Cursed Arrow, there's a 66% chance out of your 80, out of the ones that survive, 66.6% of your arrows that you retrieve back will be wooden, and 33.3 of them will be back as cursed. So you'll get very few cursed arrows back. But you can get a cursed arrow from 15 arrows and 1 cursed flame at a mithril anvil, and you get 15 cursed arrows. I do not believe I went over the Holy Arrow, how to make that. I'm pretty sure I put it in the annotation down below, but 35 arrows plus 6 pixie dust plus 1 unicorn horn at a mithril anvil will make you 35 holy arrows. Now that we got the arrows done and out of the way, I think we'll just go ahead and now we'll go up to the bows. Chances are the first bow you will have an opportunity to make will be a wooden bow. 4 damage, and 4 damage plus whatever arrow you use, chances are that's wooden, will give you a total of 8 damage. So that's pretty good for a first off the bat ranged weapon. After a while, it's not going to really fly too well. As you can see, there's a range arch to it. Die, die, die. There. Pick some of these back up. As you can see, they have very, very bad knockback. Yeah, well, there we go. No knockback. What does this give? Very weak little... Okay, there we go. So there's where the little bit of knockback came from, was the arrow itself. Whatever the arrow is, it stacks up on top of the wooden bow. I'm not sure about the critical strike chance. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be 4% all around on whatever arrow you use with whatever bow. But there you go. There's the wooden bow. An upgrade from there is the copper bow. I myself have never actually really used a copper bow myself, but it's a good extra 2 damage. if you have the extra copper. Why not? Oh. Please get away. There we go. As you can see, not many of the wooden arrows are coming back. Remember, it's a 66% chance, but a copper bow is a nice little upgrade. If you have a chance to, go ahead and just skip it and go right to an iron. Because iron, oh, lag. Iron is a rather nice change. I didn't even have to budge in that. And like I said before, silver, I really kind of suggest skipping silver because it's not even that much of an upgrade from iron. And once again, silver is better going off into armor than tools. And you'd be better off putting your gold that you will find, because that is a slight good jump right there from silver to gold. Excuse me. Gold material, gold bar or gold ore is a little more hard to come by, but once again, tool demand for gold ore is low compared to that of armor. So making gold tools I would consider being a must. I keep overcompensating for the drop. Now after you kill an Eye of Cthulhu, if you want to go against another Eye of Cthulhu, then I suggest the first tool you make would be the Demon Bow. Demon Bow's pretty good. And it's the... Is it the first one? Yes it is. I never actually noticed. It is the first bow to actually have a knockback. I don't know why I just put in 2. Probably not going to need it. Or probably going to... Okay, fine. Ignore me. Headshot. This would be very useful against the Eye of Cthulhu. As it flies in the air, you can just shoot your arrow straight up in the air. Now, we're not going to see any bows for a long time. So your demon bow will be your best friend if you prefer to use bows. Next one you get is when you go to hell. You'll then get a nice, juicy, hot molten fury. It is a giant whomper of a doubling damage bow. You get twice the power of the demon bow, and on top of that, it lights arrows or wooden arrows on fire. It won't light the other arrows. It'll only light wooden. Now, regardless of it being lit, as far as I've been told and as far as I've noticed, it does not add more damage to it. It just lights the end of the arrow on fire, and it'll light up the area as the arrow travels. We'll give a little demonstration here. You can probably click 3 times, but I'm not going to overdo it. Oh, I didn't even get a dude. Come on, bring me all you got. And there you go. As you can see, we have a flaming arrow. Some people suspect that this is a bug, but why the hell not? Accept what you got, right? So now you have actual flaming arrows, which should do flaming damage. Right here. Once again, I'm not 100% sure if the damage is added or not if fired from a Molten Fury, but I like to think that. The Molten Fury will be a friend of yours for another period longer until you get into the hardcore mode. Once you get into hardcore mode and you get enough cobalt, you'll be able to make a cobalt repeater. Cobalt repeater you'll want to keep after you obtain it and surpass it in other repeaters. I never really used bows, to be honest, so I have no actual preference here, but this thing fires much faster than any of the other bows. Just spam this little thing. Oops. Bap, 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 bap. It does not light arrows on fire, nor add any other special effect like the Molten Fury, but it's a pretty nice upgrade for one. on like my personal thought now, I kind of would stick with the Molten Fury just so the fact that you can get free free fire arrows. Next upgrade up from that would be the Mithril Repeater. You go from very fast to still very fast. The only thing is you get a little more knockback and more damage. 4 more to be precise. And that was quick, even for wooden arrows. So you can imagine what an upgraded arrow would do. Pick up all my wooden arrows back up. So from the Mithril Repeater, you can then jump up to the Adamantite Repeater. Adamantite is just a little bit more of an upgrade, but faster speed, still very weak knockback, more damage. Just like a small, teensy bit of a step up compared to repeaters. Those skeletons really aren't getting any closer, are they? Sorry, Jack. Oh. I always love getting a hook. Now, after you obtained all these, and I do believe it is the Soul of Sight, you can then collect, give it to me, a Hallowed Repeater. Take a good look at those stats there. This is the ultimate of the bows. Add that with, let's see, 39 range damage. If you use cursed arrows, that'll give you a total of 40, that's 53 damage. I never did do that math beforehand of this recording. And here we go. Just smoking. In fact, let's do this. All you can hear is their death. And I'm summoning them as fast as I can. So there we go. The Hallowed Repeater is your ultimate goal if you're an archer. And I guess since we're already here, and I've already got these so-called items, we'll go ahead and go over these consumables. Very sweet. Although when you use them up, you don't actually get to keep them anymore. Some of them do get to come back. We have shurikens, throwing knives, poison knives, spiky balls, and bones. The first one you're going to have a chance at getting a hold of is the shurikens, which you can buy from the merchant, or you can find them in random little chests underground. Chances are when you fight a Eye of Cthulhu, these will be a very good item against it, as they pierce. They don't have very much knockback, but you're not going to need that against a boss because a boss doesn't suffer any knockback, period. They pierce through multiple enemies, and they do have a chance of breaking. I have actually forgotten all of the item breaking chances for these consumable items. Okay, go away. I prefer to actually use guns myself. Next up we have throwing knives. You can get them from chests, yada yada yada. They have a very short range, and they do have a slight bit of an arch. Go away, go away, go away. They're very much like the magic daggers. You can throw them up in the air and drop them off a cliff. I forget the return ratio of these once again. They'll be put down below. That's pretty much a good demonstration right there. I rarely actually use these, but in a pinch they will save you. Next we have the poison knife, which if I remember correctly, vile powder plus a knife equals these little beauties. Same thing as the regular throwing knife, but with, I do believe they have an ability to poison. Since we got skeletons here, we can't really see it. And they have more damage. So it's always nice to upgrade them if you actually plan to use them. There we go. Next one, we have the Spiky Ball. Now these can be useful in strategies, because just throw them out on the floor. I probably should have done these last, thinking about it actually. We'll go ahead and summon up all the skeletons we can. As you can see, they have problems getting through the spiky balls. It is... oh wow, they actually break through them. I never knew that. Wow. Let's go ahead and get rid of these guys. I did not know that about Spiky Ball, so they can only take so many hits before they disappear. I wonder if it's random or anything. I don't know. I will look into that. Annotation time for the answer. So, you get these from Goblin Invasions. They'll drop everywhere. You almost can't miss it if you get a Goblin Invasion. It is said it's a good idea to throw these on the floor before fighting Skeletron. And if you're going to fight any boss that kind of hugs the ground, like Eater of Worlds or Destroyer, spread out some of these every now and again in a fight. And they will do more than their share of damage. And you will notice a big difference in the boss's HP when it comes to you fighting them, and they be weaker because you planned ahead. Next up, we got the most powerful of the consumable ranged weapons. We have the Bone. You get these from the dungeon after you kill skeletons. Here guys, have some of your own brother. They have a very nice chance to come back. They do a lot of damage. I usually like to throw them to Momiji, if you guys watch my Terraria Bow series. And that's all I can really say. They can arch too, just like other stuffs. Arrows don't really. Arrows really aren't useful for arching. Oh wow, there's another hook. Arrows really aren't good for arching. They got too much of a push behind them, but they do have a slightly obey of gravity. Consumable items have, as you can see, a big are largely affected by gravity, so you have a very short range, but because of that you can throw it up into the air and down a cliff if you can't shoot straight down a cliff to begin with, like so. Hello. You can do like this. Ah. I don't know why my mouse is moving. There you go, just walk into that little dude. Yeah, it's barely doing any damage to him. And those... wow. This will probably do more damage to him down there. Yeah, look at that. You can tell a big difference against the Shade, or whatever the frick you call him. Is he a Shade? I forget that. No, a Wrath. Close enough. Same difference. So there we go. That's the end of the range guide. Next time we will handle guns. And then behind that I will actually get around to taking care of the rest of the melee weapons. So you guys take it easy, take care, subscribe if you like this, and y'all have fun.